That's what she said. Brooke, my stepdaughter. 17 years old and already sure the world owed her something. She didn't shout it. That would have taken energy. She just let it roll off her tongue like gum that had lost its taste. Tossed it at me as she walked out of the kitchen, hand full of snacks I paid for, heading to her room that I helped renovate. Not even a glance in my direction. You're too soft to ever leave. The words didn't sting the way you might think. They landed dull, like a flat tire slowly peeling away from the rim. No sound, no bang, just a sick knowing in the gut. I didn't reply. I didn't lift my head from the screen. I just moved my cursor to the top right corner of the browser and closed the bank portal. The auto-pay schedule for Brooke's school account was still visible in the background. Monthly tuition, activity fees, something about a spring tournament. All of it queued up to draft from my checking account. All of it expected. Normal. Routine. Not anymore. I closed every tab. I logged out of every account. Then I pulled my phone out of my pocket and started disconnecting everything. The gas card removed. The phone plan, my name gone. Streaming accounts, revoked access. The little extras, Apple Music, DoorDash credits, gym memberships, deleted. It didn't feel vengeful. It felt surgical. Like removing a feeding tube from someone who never said thank you. Then I grabbed my keys, walked past Lauren. My wife of 5 years. Still sitting on the couch, glued to her phone like it was breathing for her. She heard Brooke's voice. She always heard her. That's the thing about silence in a house like mine. It's not absence. It's permission. Lauren didn't even look up when I passed. "Where are you going?" she asked finally, eyes still on the screen. "Out," I said. Nothing more. She didn't ask when I'd be back. Because deep down, I don't think she believed I ever would leave. Just like Brooke said, too soft. That's how they saw me. Not steady. Not dependable. Soft. A cushion to land on. A man who gave and gave without teeth. Without consequence. That night, I decided to show them what consequence looked like. It hadn't always been this way. I met Lauren in a grocery store. That cliché actually happened. I was stocking up for a road trip, trail mix, beef jerky, bottled water. She had a cart full of frozen dinners and 2 girls hanging off her sides. Brooke was 12 then. Her little sister, Emma, was 8 and shy. Lauren was beautiful and not in a loud way. She had that tired beauty, the kind that comes with knowing too much and hoping anyway. She smiled at me in the checkout line, and I thought maybe I could be the man who gave her one less thing to worry about. I didn't know then that there's a danger in being seen as a solution. We started slow. Coffee dates, afternoon walks. The girls didn't warm up to me right away. But that was expected. I didn't push. I thought consistency would win. By year 2, I was paying for groceries. By year 3, they moved in with me. Brooke never called me Dad. Not once. But she stopped saying Greg too. I became invisible, present when she needed something, absent when she didn't. Lauren and I got married in our 4th year. Small ceremony. Brooke wore a dress I bought. Didn't say thank you. Lauren looked radiant. Emma cried. I told myself those tears meant something. That maybe I was becoming a real part of their world. I thought love and patience would be enough. But what I didn't realize then was that I was being measured, quietly, daily, against a man who wasn't there. Their biological father, Mark, had vanished when Brooke was 8. Occasionally he'd call, usually drunk. Sent gifts once a year. Birthday cards with $50 bills inside. Enough to leave a scent, never a footprint. And somehow that made him magic to them. The man who didn't say no. Who never showed up to disappoint them. A ghost who only appeared with gifts. I, on the other hand, was flesh and blood. I said no to things that didn't make sense. I made them do chores. I asked for respect. Which meant I became the villain in their house. The cracks started small. One night, Brooke asked Lauren if she could get a second piercing. I said no. Not because I cared about the earring, but because it was a school night, and she had a history of doing impulsive things she'd regret. Lauren said nothing. Brooke huffed, looked straight past me and said, "Why do you get a say? You're not my real dad." That was the first time. I waited for Lauren to correct her, to remind her that love isn't blood. that showing up matters. But she just sat there, eyes down, quiet. I swallowed it, told myself it wasn't worth a fight. That's the story of my marriage. Really, things not worth the fight. But they build up. Birthday cards started arriving with just Lauren and Emma's names. Brooke stopped including me in school events. They only let real parents come, she'd say with a smile that wasn't a smile. Teachers didn't know I existed. I was the guy who paid tuition, but never showed up on the emergency contact form. Lauren would shrug when I mentioned it. Don't take it personally, she'd say. She's a teenager. No, she was my daughter. Not by blood, but by every other measure that should have mattered. Still, I kept paying. There was a weekend last fall. Brooke's club team was heading to San Diego. I booked the flights, paid for the hotel, handed Lauren my card at the gas station. Brooke got out of the car and hugged a friend's dad. Didn't say a word to me, didn't even look back. That night, Lauren posted a photo of the girls by the pool. The caption read, "Just us girls. Road trip memories with my babies." I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't tagged. I was the wallet, not the husband. It hit me in a way I didn't expect. Not like a blow, but like frostbite. You don't feel the damage until later. That was when I started documenting things. Saving receipts. Screenshotting texts. Not because I planned to build a case, but because I knew deep down that someday I'd have to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining this. That I was there. That I mattered, even if no one said it out loud. And then came the night that broke the last thread. Brooke had forgotten her key. I opened the door, half asleep. She brushed past me, smelling like perfume and cheap vodka, her heels clacking against the tile. "You're lucky I'm nice," I said, trying to keep it light. "Some guys would have locked the door." She turned, just stared at me. Then, "You're too soft to ever leave." That's what she said. And she was right. I had been soft. Too soft to leave. Too soft to demand respect. Too soft to set boundaries. I thought love meant swallowing every insult. I thought fatherhood was self-sacrifice, even in the face of contempt. But something about that line flipped a switch in me. Because if they believed I'd never leave, then every cruelty was safe. That's the danger of being dependable in a house that doesn't respect you. Your presence becomes expected. Your pain becomes invisible. Your efforts become background noise. So I left. No bags. No arguments. Just silence. Silence, it turns out, is louder than begging. Is sharper than shouting. Silence is a door that doesn't slam. It just never opens again. The morning after Brooke called me soft, I didn't go to work. I didn't make breakfast either. No coffee brewing. No eggs cracking. No dad voice calling, "Let's get moving down the hall." I knew how the rhythm of the house depended on me. I was the pulse, the hum behind the walls. So I let it all go still. Lauren texted around 10 a.m. "Where are you?" I didn't answer. An hour later, "Greg, everything okay?" By then I was at the bank, finalizing the last withdrawals. I had just shut down Brooke's custodial savings account, yes, her account. The one I opened 2 years ago when she said she wanted to save for college. She never contributed a dime to it. Not a single dollar. Every cent in that account had my name under the deposits column. Closed it. Transferred the money into a separate holding account under my name only. The banker asked if something was wrong. "No," I said. "Something's just finally right." By that evening, the ripple had become a wave. First came the small things. Netflix wouldn't load. Spotify logged them out. Apple Family sharing? Gone. Even the Amazon Prime stopped working. I didn't need to say anything. The systems would speak for me. Brooke texted Lauren from her room. "Why isn't Hulu working?" Then, "My gas card is declining. Can you fix?" Lauren asked me by text, "Did you change something with the cards?" I replied with a screenshot of a spreadsheet. A full breakdown. Monthly gas, $180. Basketball club, $340. Cell phone plan, $92. Subscription services, $67. Meals, outings, school events, $200 average. A quiet total circled in red. $899 per month. I wrote below it, essentials will be covered. Extras by request and with receipts. Lauren responded, seriously? You're overreacting. I replied with another image. A ledger. $14,273. 91 spent on Brooke in the past year and a half. No reply. The next day, her basketball coach called me. Said Brooke had skipped practice. Twice. Said she was mouthing off. Distracted. Said she told the team she wasn't going to the big winter tournament because the funding got pulled. His voice had that careful edge, the kind people use when they're trying not to sound accusatory. Is everything okay at home? I didn't lie. She said something to me. I said. It made me realize I've been subsidizing a version of family that doesn't include me. He paused. Then he said something unexpected. Well, she can work. Excuse me? She can help out. Scorekeeping, cleaning, helping the younger kids. If she puts in the time, we can comp part of the fees. Maybe you'd cover the rest if she follows through? It wasn't charity. It was dignity. And I liked that. Put it in writing, I said. He did. Sent a contract. Brooke would need to log 8 hours of gym work each week for 4 weeks. Then and only then, I'd cover the travel costs. But only the bare minimum. No new shoes. No hotel spa upgrades. Just transport and entry. I forwarded the message to Lauren and Brooke both. No commentary. 2 hours later, Brooke texted me. This is humiliating. I didn't reply. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. Sometimes it's the presence of dignity. 3 days later, Emma, Lauren's youngest, asked me why her Spotify wasn't working. Her voice was soft, genuinely confused. That one stung, because Emma never spat at me. She didn't roll her eyes. She asked about my day. She said thank you when I refilled her school lunch card. But the house wasn't one of partial consequences. So I told her gently, some things are changing, but if you need something, you can talk to me. She nodded, quiet, hurt but not cruel. Later that night, I got a handwritten note on the kitchen counter. I'm sorry you're sad. You always helped me and I don't want you to feel like we don't care. I do. Signed, Emma. No punctuation, just truth. I slipped a 20 into her pencil case the next morning. I couldn't fix the whole house, but I could water the parts that still had roots. Lauren didn't yell. She never screamed or accused. That would have made things clearer. She just began to withdraw, slowly, strategically. Dinner became silent. She made one plate fewer than usual. TV shows we once watched together suddenly started without me. And when her phone buzzed, she turned the screen away from me. I wasn't angry, just tired. We had built this rhythm together. She handed me the bills I paid. She handled the emotions. I handled the expenses. She got to be the fun parent. I got to be the man who said no when things got tight. Except I rarely said no. That was the problem. A week into the blackout, the cable bill bounced. It had been in my name for years. I didn't even remember setting it up. Lauren called me at work. First time she'd done that in months. You're cutting off everything now? Just realigning what's mine and what isn't. What does that even mean? It means if I'm not a father, I'm not a sponsor either. She got quiet, then said the line I knew was coming. She's just a teenager, Greg. They say cruel things. She's not just a teenager. She's a mirror. And she's been reflecting exactly what this house thinks of me for years. She didn't argue. She just hung up. I moved into the guest room. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. There was no room in our bed for a man who wasn't part of the family. Lauren noticed, of course. She asked if we could talk. But I knew what that meant. Her saying just enough to get things back to normal. To reactivate the payment system. To make things smooth again. I didn't want smooth. I wanted honesty. And honesty is rough. The final test came on a Thursday. Brooke asked, through Lauren, if I'd drive her to practice. Lauren relayed it like a court stenographer. She doesn't have a ride, she said. Her friend's grounded. I asked, has she done her gym hours? No. Then she's not going to the tournament. She needs to practice. She needs to participate. Lauren sighed. The long, theatrical kind of sigh. The kind that says, why are you making this hard? But I wasn't making it hard. I was just letting gravity do its work, pulling things down to where they truly belonged. That night, I stood in the driveway and watched Brooke try to start her car. It sputtered. She looked at me, sitting on the porch. Our eyes met. I didn't move. I had canceled her gas card 3 days ago. She hadn't noticed. Now she did. She slammed the door, walked back inside. Later that night, I heard her on the phone, maybe with her friend, maybe with her coach. She said, I don't know why he's doing this. He's just bitter. And that's when I laughed, quietly to myself, because that's what they all said once the pipeline dried up. First I was soft, then I was cruel. But the truth was simpler. I was tired of feeding a system that didn't recognize the hands keeping it alive. The first real shock came when Brooke's tournament got canceled. Not the whole thing, just her participation. She didn't do the hours. Didn't lift a single folding chair, didn't wipe a bench, didn't learn the scoreboard system. Just expected it to work out like it always did. Because for years it had. She came home that Friday, threw her bag on the floor, and slammed the bedroom door so hard a photo fell off the wall. 10 minutes later, she posted on her story, when promises are dust, Broom, Travis, Greg. Caption. A comparison. One name was mine. The other was her real father's. The one who hadn't called in 3 months. The one who sent a $100 Zelle transfer for Christmas and vanished again. That one. She didn't tag me. She didn't have to. I saw it. Saved it. Filed it under a folder I called receipts. I wasn't angry. I was past that. I was just collecting the data they seemed so eager to write down. 2 days later, her car insurance lapsed. She found out the hard way, getting pulled over for a taillight and learning she wasn't covered. Lauren texted me that night. She can't drive, this is sabotage. I waited an hour, then replied, it's structure. Insurance terms were always, be average and basic respect. I see neither. 3 days later, her grades came in. Still a C. That same week, Lauren asked if we could attend the school meeting together. Parent-teacher, end-of-semester stuff. I agreed, but I arrived early. Sat in the parking lot with a folder in my lap. Inside, every receipt, every payment, every email that began with Greg, can you cover this? Or we're a little short this month. When Lauren walked in, she looked surprised to see me already seated. I stood, held the door open. Polite, professional. The counselor introduced herself and got right to it. Brooke's teachers were concerned. Grades slipping. Behavior erratic. One even used the word entitled. Lauren winced. It's been a stressful time at home. The counselor nodded. She was good at that. Nodding. Waiting. I laid the folder on the table. Slid it forward. Receipts. Dates. Notes. Then I played a voicemail from the basketball coach. He'd called again after the missed tournament. Greg, I'm worried. She's acting out. Says her life's falling apart. I offered her ways to stay involved, but she said, quote, if he won't pay, I won't play. Just thought you should know. The room was still after that. I could feel Lauren shrinking in her seat. And then I dropped the final piece. A voice memo recorded weeks earlier. Lauren speaking to a friend on speakerphone. Greg's not really a dad. He's more like a sponsor. He handles the boring stuff. I hit pause, then looked up. I'll stay a father, I said. But only in a space where that word isn't used as a joke. Nobody spoke. Not Lauren. Not the counselor. Not even me after that. Silence did the work. The fallout wasn't immediate. It never is. Families don't explode. They erode. I moved more of my accounts into private folders. Replaced shared credit lines with personal ones. Changed the garage keypad. Paid off the balance on Brooke's car and took the title. It was in my name. I parked it at my office. Lauren called the next day. She wasn't yelling. Not yet. She has a college visit next month, she said. She needs the car. She'll have to figure something out. Greg, come on. You're punishing her. No, I said. I'm teaching her what it means when the ATM stops smiling. Click. She hung up. The next few weeks were eerily quiet. Emma stayed polite, ate dinner in the dining room, asked questions about my day. I noticed her doing her own laundry. Maybe she was watching. Maybe she was learning what happens when a man stops giving without being seen. Lauren drifted. She started sleeping in the master again, but we didn't speak. Just the occasional exchange of necessities. Trash day reminders, grocery notes, bills that still carried both our names. I knew what she was hoping, that I'd cool down, that I'd miss the rhythm, that my softness would return like it always did. But softness is only strength when it's chosen. And I hadn't chosen this silence. I'd earned it. Brooke's silence didn't last. 2 weeks after the school meeting, she sent me a one-line message. Thanks for nothing. I didn't reply. Instead, I sent her the invoice for her last 6 months of cell phone coverage. Marked, paid in full, no longer active. She blocked me. I updated the folder. Then came the call from Travis. Yes, that Travis. Brooke's biological father. The one who once sent her a singing bear for her birthday and called it an emotional connection. He sounded confused and drunk. Hey man, Lauren said you're freezing the accounts. She's kind of freaking out. I sat in my car, listening to his voice scratch through static. She says Brooke needs support. College stuff, trips, all that. Is that so? I said. Yeah, man. I mean, she's your stepkid, right? I mean, that counts, doesn't it? I smiled. Travis, I said. You're her father. That counts more. He didn't reply, just silence. Then a muttered, shit. And he hung up. 3 days later, Brooke texted Lauren. Dad says he can't help. He's broke. I guess Greg wins. I didn't respond. Lauren didn't show me the text, of course. Emma did. She showed it to me at dinner. She's not really sorry, Emma said. Just stuck. I nodded. That's okay. Some people only see value when it's gone. Emma looked up. You think she'll come around? Doesn't matter if she does, I said. I already did. By then, word had gotten around. A friend of mine at the high school called me. Brooke told some kids you cut her off, that you bailed on the family. I asked him, and what did you say? I told her I've seen you at every fundraiser, every parent night, every damn Saturday car wash. You didn't bail. You just stopped being invisible. That was the best compliment I'd received in 5 years. One night, Lauren knocked on my guest room door. First time she'd done that since I moved in there. She didn't come in, just leaned against the frame. She's struggling. She's adjusting. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I looked up. Enjoying? No, but I am. Observing. Watching what happens when people are forced to hold the weight they used to hand off. Lauren crossed her arms. You're acting like a stranger. Because that's how I've been treated. A long pause. Then, do you love her? I did. But love isn't unconditional when it's unpaid labor. Lauren didn't reply. I watched her face fold in on itself. She knew I was right. Later that week, a package arrived on the porch. No name, just a padded envelope. Inside, a photo of Brooke from last year, me, her, and Emma, at the game where she hit the winning shot. I'd been the one who filmed it, bought the pizza, carried her gym bag after. On the back, written in messy Sharpie, I didn't know what you did until you stopped doing it. No signature, but it was enough. I placed the photo on my desk. Didn't frame it, didn't display it. Just left it there where I could see it when I needed a reminder. Not of love, not of gratitude, but of consequence. A month passed. Then, a knock on the door. Not the front door. The side door, the one off the kitchen, the one they never used. That mattered. I opened it and saw Brooke standing there. No makeup. Hoodie. Sneakers tied in a hurry. Her hands were shaking slightly. She wasn't crying. She wasn't smiling. She just looked level. She handed me a sheet of paper. Folded. Precise. Not wrinkled. Not scrawled like the notes she used to leave on the fridge asking for pizza money. I unfolded it. Typed, One paragraph. Straight to the point. I want to pay part of the trip myself. I'll work the gym hours. I know I went too far. No greeting. No signature. I read it twice. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I couldn't believe it was hers. We stood there in silence. Then I said, "Deal." Nothing more. No lecture. No gloating. Just terms. She nodded. We sat at the table. I brewed coffee. She didn't ask for anything. No hugs. No jokes. Just respect. Real, hard-earned, cold-forged respect. Over the next few weeks, I saw her. Not the version she pretended to be online. Not the scowling teen who played the martyr. But her underneath all that. She showed up at the gym. Early. Not late. Not with excuses. I got an email from the coach. Brooks doing the hours. Quiet but solid. The next one came after week 2. She helped a younger kid tie her shoes. Thought you'd want to know. I did. But I didn't tell her that. She worked. She earned. I matched her pay. She booked her flight. Stayed with the team. Played like she had skin in the game. And after that tournament, she texted me. Just one line. I earned it. That's when I knew we might have something to salvage. She started showing up for Tuesday dinners. That was always the rule. I cooked on Tuesdays. No phones. No TV. Just plates and real words. She didn't talk much at first. Just ate. Never left a roll in the basket. Always helped clear the table. Sometimes she stayed behind. Washed the dishes without being asked. Sometimes she just sat with Emma while she did her homework. Sometimes she left early. But she always showed. I didn't ask for anything more than that. I wasn't there to rebuild a fantasy. I was there to witness her rebuilding herself. Lauren didn't say much. She watched. She didn't thank me. Not for the boundaries. Not for the consequences. Not for the long silence that somehow stitched the bleeding shut. She just carried on. A little softer, a little quieter. Sometimes I caught her looking at me like she didn't know who I was anymore. But she did. She just hadn't realized it until I stopped being the man she could disappear behind. And now Brooke's not perfect. She's still sarcastic. Still distant some days. Still guarded. But she's present. She pays for her own gas. She checks her grades without being nagged. She sends texts that don't begin with, "Can you?" That's something. That's more than I ever expected. Because I didn't do this to win her. I did it to find myself again. To stop bleeding into a system that only knew how to take. I still sit with the photo sometimes. The one she sent after it all. 3 of us in the gym. Me with my arm around her shoulder. Emma clapping in the background. It wasn't a victory photo. It was a witness photo. Proof that I had been there. That I wasn't soft. I was solid. And when I removed myself, the whole house shifted. Some foundations hold everything. Others just look like they do until you pull them out. So tell me, was I wrong to withdraw what was never truly valued? Was I cruel to let the silence teach what love never could? Would you have kept giving? Or would you have left the door unlocked like I did? Just long enough to see who was willing to knock?